Auto-Malleus Inquisitor Ordinary Gerome Thrax. Or as most of you will probably know him, that dipshit that arrested Titus on Graia.
You will submit to my authority, Captain, or the Inquisition must conclude that you have corrupted every Ultramarine under your command, not to mention those who stand at your side.
Hi there, I'm Cotton and welcome back to Cotton Hammer. While that sequence is the first time any of you heard of Inquisitor Thrax, he is actually one of the oldest characters in all of Warhammer, making his debut in 1988 in the Realms of Chaos Slaves to Darkness book. So, without further faffing about, let's see what our boy Thrax has been up to. Gerome Thrax started his career under the legendary demon hunter Inquisitor Faust, working his way up till he became Faust's personal interrogator. So you already know he is an absolute delight to talk to. Eventually, Thrax became an Inquisitor himself and left Faust's services to go kick buckets over on his own. Inquisitor Thrax was very interested in the Imperium's history, poring over literally thousands of years of mankind's history. The thing is, being an Inquisitor, he has access to reading material that a common man would be executed for even knowing about. And the topic that stuck with him the most was the Horus Heresy. This caused Gerome Thrax to develop a bitterness, possibly even hatred, towards the Astartes, which he blames for the current state of the Imperium. I mean, he's not wrong. Thrax scrutinized Astartes far more than the common man, to the point that he went out of his way to arrest and persecute Space Marines, especially those that operate on the borders of Imperial space, since those chapters had quite some alone time, and Thrax was convinced they wouldn't do anything good with that freedom. This didn't stop him from going after other Astartes chapters though, using his power and influence as an Inquisitor to give him extraordinary reach to directly accuse and arrest Astartes for heresy. The reason why Thrax got away with this is because, well, he was actually good at his job. While it would be really funny, and grimdark at the same time, to pretend he just arrested Marines willy-nilly cause he didn't like how their nose looked, the truth is that Thrax was an excellent Inquisitor, and was able to sniff out chaos corruption like a bloodhound on crack.
His injuries appear chaos inflicted.
He could have had climbed the ranks already, becoming an Inquisitor Lord, if it wasn't for his obsession with hunting down heretic Astartes, which left little time for political plays, which are very much required to become a top dog in the Imperium's bureaucracy. Of course, you do not become an infamous Inquisitor because you have a perfect track record and spread sunshine and roses everywhere you go. See, Thrax's methods were controversial to say the least. Any Astartes he had arrested would be subject to a psychic scourge, flaying their minds to discover the seed of chaos.
Let us begin.
Now, that part is normal procedure to discover a heretic. What was not normal procedure was that whenever a Marine passed the test successfully, Thrax would just go, "The test must have not been powerful enough," or "The test must have malfunctioned," or whatever other reason he could think of. Because the alternative would have been that he was wrong. And we of course can't have that. No, can we? He would, let's not sugarcoat it, torture Marines with multiple tests, one right after the other, to the point that any normal man would have long broken, both physically and mentally. If they still dare to pass the tests, he would of course not release them. No. He would just lock them up back in stasis, and just try again a few years later. Many Marines would spend multiple decades in his stasis prison for this very reason. This was also the fate of Captain Demetrian Titus. Thrax was already on his way to Graia after news reached Inquisition that Chaos had shown up there. While barely in orbit, Leandros was already banging on his door to go snitch on Titus, having informed the Inquisitor that Titus had handled a warp energy device multiple times.
And Titus has been corrupted by Chaos, Inquisitor Thrax.
I am no heretic.
You lie!
Which must have obviously meant that he was touched by Chaos and corruption was only a matter of time.
Codex Astartes leaves no room for doubt. You cannot touch the warp and emerge unscathed.
Which isn't a ridiculous idea, but Leandros is still a dipshit for reporting directly to a well-known Astartes-phobic Inquisitor, instead of reporting it to the company's chaplain. You know, like the Codex Astartes dictates?
Bitch!
Anyway, Titus was subject to the same psychic scourging torture as many of his fellow Astartes before him. And, big surprise, no chaos corruption or heresy could be found. So Thrax did his modus operandi and locked him up in stasis.
1,000,000 years dungeon!
Well, close. It was 100 years. Of course, Chapter Master Calgar tried to get Titus out of there, especially since he didn't receive a report if Titus was guilty or not. But every formal request was simply ignored. And it's not like Calgar could have come knocking on his door since Thrax's location, which was a remote station, wasn't publicly known for obvious reasons. And the Inquisition itself was as helpful as ever. So yeah. Over the next 100 years, Thrax would continue his crusade against heretic Astartes. Some of his next targets would be Luft Huron, which he declared a threat and possible heretic well before the outbreak of the Badab War. Like I said, he does know his stuff. He also went after Darnaf Lysander, after he returned after being lost in the warp.
Did you have unholy assistance? We must know.
Though he was denied that because the Imperial Fists went to his boss, and his boss then in turn told Thrax to go pound sand. If that wasn't enough, he also decided to kickstart his own mini-Horus Heresy by declaring 6 full chapters excommunicate traitores. It's not known which these chapters were, but it's kinda obvious that they won't just roll over and die at his command. This counts double if they actually were heretics. It is also inconclusive if they actually were traitors or not. But Thrax has never gone after full chapters before, and was always kinda reasonable, for an Inquisitor at least. He also kept his word to Titus that he would not persecute the Altmarine 2nd Company or the Cadian 2 or 3rd. So as much as it's trendy to hate on the guy, I am actually confident that Thrax was correct on this one and they actually were heretics.
You are certain of this charge?
Now, Jerome Thrax's career comes to a spectacular end. Due to his former successes, he was influential enough, even as just an Inquisitor Ordinary, to command Grey Knights into battle, which he did when he declared the Grey Slayers chapter of Astartes to have become corrupted by Chaos, which turned out to be true. He led the Grey Knights in an attack on the chapter's monastery, purging every Astartes that showed signs of corruption, and any officers like lieutenants and captains would outright be executed for even allowing this corruption to fester. Now, even here, Thrax did not want to wipe out the full chapter, just the officers and those actually corrupted, restoring the chapter after the purging was complete. After breaching the office of the chapter master, who had Kurt Cobained himself rather than actually go out fighting,
You can take yourself out of this existential nightmare.
he immediately went to work writing his report, while the Grey Knights were busy purging the last few corrupted Marines. The finished report was carried to be sent by his personal scribe, while Thrax studied the artifacts and personal belongings of the Chapter Master. Sitting down at the former Chapter Master's desk, he couldn't help but notice that it was a really nice desk.
I do have a desk. It's made of mahogany.
It was a mix of wood
Mahogany.
and tech polymers, an excellent work, to the point that Thrax was thinking of keeping that desk for himself, especially because the desk had these intricate carvings all over its surface. Thrax followed the lines with his finger, brushing over the excellent craftsmanship. Here he started thinking. The Chapter Master was obviously a fool, a weak man with a weaker spirit, but the power he could have wielded, what could he do with that power? He could fight the heretics with the very power they craved. He could do so much good for the Imperium, because he was strong and stoic enough to wield it. At least, that's what the soothing voice told him while he further admired that beautiful desk. When the scribe came back, he found Inquisitor Thrax, far hornier than normal, leaping for him. That he had suddenly grown mandibles didn't help either. While Thrax was tearing his scribe apart, the Grey Knights investigated the ruckus and blasted Thrax to pieces, just like they would have done with any other commoner. And that is the end of Inquisitor Ordinary Jerome Thrax, corrupted and possessed by chaos because he got outsmarted by a goddamn desk.
Gotcha, bitch!
After his death, the Ordo Malleus established a conclave especially to investigate how he got corrupted and how far that corruption had already spread. Luckily for them, it was really just that desk. All of his assets, including the aforementioned station, were seized by the conclave. On that station they discovered the Stasis prison, holding many Space Marines, including Titus, though they couldn't be sure if those were actually innocent since Thrax had taken most of his knowledge with him into death. All the Astartes were sent to the Death Watch Watch Fortress Watcher Keep, where they would watch for signs of heresy. There, Titus and many others were deemed free of heresy after being watched and enlisted into the Death Watch as Black Shields. So that was it about Inquisitor Ordinary Jerome Thrax. While it is easy to hate on the guy for what he did to Titus and many others, it is actually pretty bad that he is gone. Sure, he got it wrong quite a few times, but when he got it right, he really got it right. So we'll have to wait and see what forms of corruption can stir without Thrax's watchful eye. If you liked the video, then please give it a like so the algorithm gets a chop, and consider subscribing if you want to see more of this stuff or if you just want to make me happy. Anyway, thanks for watching and see you all next time. Cheers!